Hi friends, this is CC and welcome to Hobby Hands. In this vlog, we're going to turn this into this. Yes friends, in this vlog, we're going to do a build of this, which is the Revell 1/72 scale model of the BK-117 ADAC, and the kit number is 4953. That's the back of the box, and it shows some nice pictures of the completed model. Let's have a look at what's inside the box. The side opening box, and the first thing we see is the instruction manual, which is in full color and printed on glossy paper as usual for Revell. This is the parts list: 2 yellow sprues and 1 clear sprue. The instruction manual looks quite busy, but the parts are quite clear. This is the markings and decal guide. What we find here is a little decal sheet, very colorful and nicely printed. Right, let's look at the parts now. Okay, so we see 2 sprues. The first sprue contains all the 2 fuselage halves and the tail. It's all molded in yellow. Not a lot of flash, which is good. There are some panel lines and they're recessed, but doesn't look to be a lot of them. On the second sprue, we get the rotor blades, a lot of very tiny parts. And this is the clear sprue. It's all the transparent pieces. It looks fairly clear. Okay, let's start building. So the first thing we're going to do, build the interior parts. So there'll be the cabin floor, some seats, instrument panels, and the cabin equipment as well. Okay, let's start painting the interior bits. So the first bit I'm painting there is actually just some internal walls in the cabin. I just hand paint this because they're very small parts. These are the seats, the control sticks, more seats. Okay, so those are the interior bits all painted now. There's a cockpit floor and cabin floor. An instrument panel. Alright, this step what I'm doing is just giving all the interior bits a coat of gloss clear. When the gloss clear has dried, I'm going to now put on some decals. These are the instrument panel decals. Pretty straightforward. Once done, I'm going to give the decals another coat of gloss clear to protect them, and then after that I put some panel line wash. Okay, then what I do is I use a little bit of thinner and a cotton bud and clean off the panel line wash, so you're left with nice clean panel lines. I also use some weathering paint, so I use mostly the colored ones like gray and yellow, so that I do a quick dry brush of white paint on the parts as well. Again, just brings out the definitions, the raised details on the parts. Okay, now to put the internal, the cockpit and the internal parts together. A lot of very tiny parts, like the foot pedals. Be careful they don't drop into the carpet. There's some internal walls on the cabin, and a couple of extra seats there as well. Okay, then fit on the instrument panel. For a nice little close-up, the interior. There you go. Alright, so now I'm giving the interior parts, or the cockpit and the cabin assembly, a flat clear varnish. Alright, so now with the clear parts, I dip the clear parts into some floor polish, like that. I dip the whole thing into the liquid, shake off the excess, and then if there's any more liquid left on the part, I blot it out or blot it off on a piece of kitchen towel. And then put it into a little container or a little box with a lid so the dust doesn't settle on. What I'm doing here is putting a little bit of weights into the front of the helicopter. What I'm doing now is I'm going to assemble the cabin and cockpit assembly into the fuselage. And after that, we'll join the two fuselage halves together. So far so good, nothing too difficult. What I'm putting here is the rotor shaft. So the instructions call for the rotor shaft to be placed here at this point, and not to glue it down so that it can turn. Okay, so just check that the alignment is good, and you can start gluing. And then we'll use some masking tape to hold the two halves together, and we continue gluing. Not a lot of gaps, but there's one which is just in front of the rotor shaft. I'm going to use some putty and apply it to the model to get rid of the joint line. If I had a chance to do this model again, I would probably use a white colored putty, which will be easier for painting later. Alright, when the putty has dried, what I do then is get some sanding sticks and sand off the putty. So I'll do that with a 600 grit. This blue one is an 800 grit. The big one is a 600 grit. And then after that 2000 grit, and finally a 6000 grit. When all the sanding is done, we start to install the glass pieces. The clear pieces fit quite well. There's no need to sand or cut or anything. Just be careful when you put these side windows in. There's a right side up and a wrong side up. Just make sure the window sits flush against the body of the heli as well. So what I'm doing here is using some boiling water onto the rotor blades. And the way I've set it up there is to try and give the rotor blade a sag or droop. Okay, so now let's get the aircraft ready for painting, and so we'll start putting masking onto the clear pieces. Alright, with a little toothpick, then you run the toothpick across the masking tape to remove the air bubbles underneath. And then with a very sharp blade, you cut the masking tape. Do this part slowly and carefully so you don't scratch the clear pieces. There you go. And with a cotton bud as well, just run it along the masking tape. Now all the clear parts have been masked. It's time to start painting. So what I'm doing here is pre-shading. For those areas that I want to highlight, I'm pre-shading it in white. And after that I use a pink primer to pre-shade the parts of the heli that need to be in a darker tone, like underneath, just to replicate the shadows, the doors. There you go, that's what it looks like. The pre-shading with pink and white. Looks like some kind of a candy. Almost good enough to eat. It's at this point that I now paint the whole helicopter in. It's painted in one color, and that's the base color of yellow. Okay, there you go, all done. What I've also done is also painted in the details, like the exhaust and the exhaust areas. And now what I'm doing is putting panel line wash, and I'm using a brown panel line wash. There's not a lot of panel lines though. So it'd be pretty easy. Now the panel line wash needs to be cleaned up, and we do that with a cotton bud and some thinner. Okay, so now the next thing that we do is attach the decals, and we'll start from the front of the heli. And then just put a bit of a decal softener to make the decal sit better. When all the decals have dried, it's time to coat the whole helicopter with another layer of gloss varnish. This will protect the decals. Alright, so now that all the gloss varnish has dried, it's time to do the final assembly. This is the tail skid. These are the main landing skids. Just be careful you align it correctly so that the heli will sit flat and not lopsided. So what I'm doing here is sticking on the couple of vertical tail pieces like that. So I'm attaching now the tail rotor. We have to glue it in, and so this means that the tail rotor will not be turning. And now time to assemble time to install the main rotor blades. Just stick on the cap. That's almost complete. Alright, now it's time to just do a bit of weathering. So I'll use the colored weathering paint, like yellow. I'll put that in a random place just to make the helicopter look a little bit more attractive and colorful. Not too much, just enough, a very subtle hint of color. Alright, now so use some gray weathering. This is to put on the black colored parts. Again, just gives a little bit more color to the model. Makes it a little bit more interesting to look at. so any raised details are picked up by the lighter colors. We'll also put some weathering on the leading edge of the rotor blades. I'm doing there. Okay, with the exhaust there, what I'm doing is just using some burnt metal red and burnt metal blue. And next I'll do some oil stains, and I'll put the oil stains near where the engine is. I'm using soot weathering, and I'm just applying it near where the exhaust is, just to simulate the smoke that comes out. Done. So what I'm doing now is giving the whole aircraft a coat of flat varnish. Alright, so now we are done. So what I'm doing here now is just to remove the masking tape. So I'll do the front windscreen first, because there's a couple of small wiper blades that I need to stick on. There you go. And nice and shiny. So we'll remove the other one, and then we'll put on the wiper blades after that. There you go, friends. That's the BK-117 all done now. So that's the top view of the helicopter. That's a side view. And it's a bottom view. A view from the front of the helicopter. And a view from the tail. So quick comments. It's a very easy to build model. The only thing that I would say is there's not a lot of details on the surface of the heli, not a lot of panel lines. If you look at the box art, you can see that there's actually a lot of panel lines. Or even if you look at the paint scheme page, there's actually quite a few panel lines. In hindsight, I should have done some scribing. If I were to build this model again, that's what I'll do first. I'll scribe some more lines in there to make it look more interesting. Otherwise, for now, this is done. We'll do some close-ups of the helicopter. Close up of the tail. Made it a bit dirty there because that's the exhaust soot, I guess. A view of the front and the cockpit. You can just see the seats in the cockpit. So that's the landing gear. Can't see a lot of the cockpit, but you can just see the suggestion of the seats in there. Let's close out the rotor hub. And a close-up of the canopy or the windshield. There's a close-up of the tail rotor. Close-up of the other side of the tail. There you go. Well friends, hope you enjoyed that vlog. Please subscribe to my channel. Please give me a like. Please share this vlog with your family and friends. And please leave me some comments below. Thank you very much for watching. For now, this is CC signing off.